TIFU by looking at paperwork about my mom that my dad told me not to. My 34 meters dad, 70, was recently diagnosed with some pretty serious medical issues, and me and my brother had to put him into an assisted living facility for the foreseeable future. Also, we've been working on getting one of my brother's power of attorney for my dad in case something happens. As part of this whole process, the social worker that was helping us told us it would be easier in the long run to get a copy of my mom's death certificate. She died of cancer and a resulting coma when I was 11, and it's something that I really didn't come to terms with until my mid-20s. Getting this certificate was delegated to me, so I asked my dad if he has a copy at his house. He tells me, "There's one in the filing cabinet in the basement, but don't look through the black envelope." Quote, I tell fine, whatever. At his point, I'm just glad I don't have to go to City Hall or something to get a copy. So I drive out to my dad's and go down into the basement and pretty quickly find the certificate, but I also see the black envelope, and I guess you can see where this is going. Like some poor soul in a H.P. Lovecraft story, I decided to stare into what would unknowingly be my own personal abyss. I dumped its contents out to find insurance paperwork from when my mom passed. More specifically, how they were denying the life insurance claim due to overwhelming evidence that the coma that ultimately led to the end of her life was a result of an intentional overdose of painkillers. That's how I found out after 23 years that my mom killed herself. I just sat on the concrete floor of that basement for hours, just broken. I'd give anything to not know this. It's been over a month and I can't stop having nightmares about it. Going to have to start therapy again. All because I got curious and didn't listen to my dad. TLDR. Was told not to look at some paperwork about my mom that I thought died of cancer 23 years ago, only to find out she killed herself. She did die of cancer. If not for the cancer, she wouldn't have done what she did. I hope you can take solace in the fact that in a no-win situation, she at least wanted to go out on her own terms. And part of that may have been to try and spare you watching cancer run its insatiable and inevitable course. Good luck coming to grips with this information. And I hope you can understand, forgive, and move forward. Up. Try to look at it this way. She was dying anyway. She was in pain. She was so far gone that the coma looked like a normal step on her journey. She chose when she got to go. That's actually kind of amazing. Losing her must have been horrible. Let this be a small light in that whole dark episode. Not my business. But I'd be cool with that. Dying of cancer is horrible from what I understand. I'd be glad she didn't have to go through that. Must have had only pain left. If I had known that she suffered for months, just so a life insurance policy paid out, and I was driving a nice car now because of it, I might not want that car anymore. I've lost several family members to various kinds of cancer. If I was diagnosed with terminal cancer, as much as I'd like to stick around as long as I can, I would seriously consider cutting it short to avoid dying by the inches. I did not get to see my grandfather the weeks before he died, because he didn't want me to remember him like that. Your mother held on as long as she could, but wanted to spare you of the pain of the inevitable drawn-out ending. I'm sorry for your loss. I don't know if this helps, but you don't know if it really was intentional. Where I life. Insurances are not allowed to refuse payment because of suicide, but I know that they try everything they can to avoid paying. So maybe your mom just took too much painkillers because of her pain and insurance claimed it was intentional. Doctors nowadays give people big bottles of pain pills and tell them specifically how many are a fatal dose so there aren't any accidents. Wink. Wink. Cancer is a terrible thing and can be sickening and saddening and painful all at once. and being able to make it stop is fair. I'm sorry it brought all these feelings back and reopened some wounds. She didn't end her life. She ended her suffering. Those are two very different things. She did not kill herself. Insurance companies are cruel and will do anything to not pay a policy. She was in pain and dying and needed to not be in pain. Do not let this haunt you. More than likely was an accidental overdose. She could have doubled up on medication, and being in a weak state, that was enough. It's pretty common in these situations. It may help give you some comfort to know that many people with incurable cancer take an overdose of painkillers at the end, either intentionally to end their suffering, or just ramping up the painkillers too far, trying to take the edge off the pain for the days they have left. Both are reasonable, rational choices for a person to have made. So even if your mother chose to end her life, it might have been simply the best way she had to deal with a terrible situation. What the truth is, you don't know, and you may not have a way to find out. But the cancer story you were told as a child might have been true. Not just a fiction to ease the mind of a child. Cancer is a bitch. I saw my godfather and father waste away to nothing with stomach and lung cancer. I honestly think it is cruelty to make a person wait and suffer through that. And honestly think laws about suicide and life insurance need to be changed. If you have a known, established disease that is slow and painful and is overwhelmingly fatal, the no suicide clause should be waived. I have been through this a couple of times. Cancer killed her. It is up to the person with cancer how they want to go, period, or how they want to fight. And if things chong, it is up to them. In a way, nothing's changed. In my opinion, your mom was brave and wanted to save her family and herself from more suffering. My dad died a gruesome cancer death when I was 31. He had been exposed to radiation while in WW2 and it eventually killed him. He toughed it out, but for sure a choice to end suffering would have been appropriate. Your mom did what was right for her. I spent the last 10 days of my dad's life living in his hospital room with him. I will never tough it out. He suffered greatly. Your mother absolutely died from the cancer. She just shortened the process. Surely you do not prefer that she would have suffered longer? With mental illness, the cancerous tumors are the moods and the behaviors affected by the moods. A lethal illness still killed her. One is every bit as deadly and merciless as any other disease. And one that is hushed up, stigmatized, ignored, brushed off. Imagine being the widower and having to hide that from his own child. Friends, colleagues, neighbors, church. I'm a 30-year suicide survivor. Consider that John Fetterman going into treatment this month is being considered brave and groundbreaking. This couldn't be talked about, and the victims and the sufferers have agonized in silence for millennia. My condolences to you, Op. But my heart breaks for your dad and your poor mom. I think of your mom as courageous. Fuck cancer. Your mother spared you and the rest of the family. My husband and I have been witness to his parents both dying of cancer. They wasted away before our eyes. Once strong and proud, they laid in beds at home and had to be sponged clean and butts wiped, hand-fed, medicine put into their mouths. Still in pain but trying to hide it. Not only did it affect their dignity, but they felt like such a burden. My husband was only in his mid-20s when he took care of his mom and literally watched her die. After taking such deep and personal care of her, your mother spared her family those harsh memories. You were just a kid. Those type of memories would have caused you so much trauma. Her death was going to affect you badly enough. She did what she could to lessen the damage. Brave woman. I'm sorry that you learned this info about your mom. in the way that you did. Your mom wouldn't have wanted you to be subjected to witnessing her painful demise any longer than you had to. Essentially, it was intended as a sort of favor, relief to herself and to those that she loved. It's interesting to think in modern-day medicine that there are now countries and states within the U.S. that empower terminally ill patients with the capability and the right to end their suffering voluntarily through right-to-die legislation. I wish that your mother had the humane choice. We all do things we never imagined possible when faced with impossible circumstances. Pray that you'll never have to understand why.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.